Is it worth splurging on charcoal briquettes? If you grill a lot, charcoal is going to be your second biggest expense right behind the meat. So I bought 6 different brands of charcoal and I'm going to test it out. First, I'm going to determine the average briquette weight, see how densely they can pack, how much ash they produce, how quickly they light, and most importantly, if there's any differences in flavor. In the first test, I weighed 20 briquettes to get their average weight. First up is Embers, made by Royal Oak. It says it is fast lighting, long burning, and was the cheapest at 40 cents a pound. And each briquette weighs in at 28 grams. Expert Grill, Briquettes de Carbon. Satisfaction 100% guaranteed and is sold at Wal-Mart. It was a little bit more expensive at 49 cents a pound and weighed in at 27 grams apiece. Kingsford Blue Bag, it's 100% natural ingredients, was 68 cents a pound, and each briquette weighed in at the lightest of 25 grams. Royal Oak for the pitmaster in all of us. This one was 79 cents a pound, and the briquettes were a little bit bigger, weighing 43 grams apiece. B&B burns hotter, longer, cleaner. It was just under $1 at 97 cents a pound, and its briquettes were the heaviest of the bunch at 55 grams apiece. Jealous Devil, bigger is better. This was the most expensive one in the group at $1.17 a pound, and it came in just a little bit lighter at 52 grams apiece. Weight and size isn't everything. One of the things you need to consider is how densely you can pack it. Because on a long cook, the more fuel that you can fit inside of your cooker is the longer that you can go without having to refuel. And that of course assumes that every kind of charcoal has the exact same amount of heat gram for gram with no fillers, but that isn't true, and I'm going to test that later in this video. In order to test that, I filled a Weber charcoal chimney all the way to the top and then weighed the contents. And most of the charcoal was within 10% of each other, but there was one big outlier, and that was Jealous Devil. It was way lighter than all the other ones, and I think it's probably because of the shape of the briquette itself. If you take a close look at it, it looks like a pillow, whereas the B&B charcoal briquettes are a little bit flattened, which allows them to pack in a little bit tighter. Now let's see how they burn. For this test, I took as close as I could get to 500 grams of charcoal, and then I put it in a pie tin so that way I could gather up and keep all of the ash. Then I took a Weber lighter cube, put it in the center, covered up with charcoal, and then lit them all at about the same time. And this test is going to show which ones are going to light the easiest, burn with less ash, and get from that nasty, nasty white smoke to that nice, clean smoke so that way you can get to cooking faster. And after a few minutes, the more expensive charcoals of B&B and Jealous Devil switched over to very clean smoke, whereas the cheapest ones continued to pump out a bunch of white smoke for a long time. Once they were started, I let them burn overnight so they could burn out completely on their own. And I expected to see some differences here, but I didn't even need a scale to be able to tell which one won this test. A few of them came out looking exactly like they did before, but with just a little bit of tappa-tappa and a shaka-shaka, it flattened them out, and it was really just ash-shaped briquettes that were in there. Now for the weigh-in to see which one burned off the most. An Expert Grill burned down to about 65% of its original weight, with 28% of that weight in unburned charcoal. Yikes. So that was so bad, I was sure that I'd messed up the test, and I repeated it again, but this time instead of putting it in a ceramic Kamado, I put it in just a regular old Weber kettle, and I got almost identical results. Embers had 35% of its initial weight with about 1% of unburned charcoal. Royal Oak kept 37% with nothing left to burn. Kingsford kept 26% of its original weight in ash, and this is where things got really interesting. I'd always thought that the bigger charcoal briquettes would have a harder time to keep lit and burn all the way through, but I was wrong. B&B had only 18% of its original weight left over in ash with about 1% left of unburned charcoal. And Jealous Devil won this round with only 17% of its original weight in ash, and that even included a 17-gram chunk that didn't burn at all. Taste is king, and for this test, I'm going to fill up a half a chimney of charcoal to see which one lights the fastest and is ready to cook the soonest. Then I'm going to grill up a burger and see if there's any standouts or differences in flavor. And one of them was so good, I could hardly hold in my excitement. For the time to light, Embers came in at 14 minutes 15 seconds, Expert Grill's 16 minutes, Royal Oak looked lit in just 9 minutes, but I probably should have let it go just a little bit longer because when I poured it into the kettle, the temperatures cooled down quite a bit. I gave it a little bit more time to ramp back up so that it was ready for the burger. Kingsford Blue Bag came in at 14 minutes, B&B 15 minutes, and Jealous Devil at 12:30. And one thing I don't love about all the different kinds of charcoal is if it is a sparky charcoal. Embers and Expert Grill were both just a little bit sparky, with Royal Oak being the sparkiest by far. For the taste test, I don't recommend grilling store brand, unseasoned, frozen hamburger patties, but it was the best way to bring out the flavor of the heat and not the meat. Expert Grill, Kingsford, and Jealous Devil all had a neutral flavor, while Royal Oak had a smoky flavor and B&B had a light smoky flavor to it. Overall, Jealous Devil and B&B won out in every single test, with B&B edging out for me just a little bit based on preference because of the light smoky flavor and the tight packing density for those long cooks. But when it comes to bargain charcoal, it's really hard to beat the availability and the consistency of Kingsford Blue Bag, especially when you can get it in a 2-pack on sale around the summer holidays.